In 1979, in Alaska, a pilot called his base to tell them he saw something strange in the sky. The technicians found that their sensors were going crazy. At the same time, in the forest, two lumberjacks finished their work and were ready to go home. As they drove away, suddenly one of the trucks floated and then dropped to the ground, crashing in the process. Another lumberjack tried to check on his friend, but just then, he was shocked to see a spaceship appear above his head. He ran into the forest trying to escape, but the aliens quickly caught up with him. Today in California, computer engineer Isaac went to the NASA office. His colleague told him they had received a signal from Canada, which was strange because there were no grounded satellites in that region. When Isaac was in front of the computer, he received a signal from an unknown source, wondering if it was a malfunction. The next day, Isaac went to see his therapist, who asked him to start recording a video diary to help with his self-recovery. Isaac felt awkward in front of the camera, but he would try his best to record everything he thought of. One afternoon, everyone in California was surprised to see a burning meteor enter the Earth's atmosphere. At the time, Isaac was hiking in the mountains with his camera, so he sneaked around to avoid the approaching law enforcement and found a perfect spot to record. To his shock, he discovered that the meteor was actually a spaceship that had landed on the mountain. Suddenly, the spaceship disappeared from view, and only an alien appeared behind Isaac. When he turned around, he couldn't believe what he saw, but he was still recording. The alien walked away, and Isaac tried to follow him, but after a few steps, he lost consciousness. Soon, every media outlet was discussing the meteor and its random theories. Isaac's work team was supposed to collect samples, but he didn't go to work. After a while, Isaac woke up on a cliff, confused about what had happened. He checked his camera and saw the recording of the alien, which made him realize he might have been abducted. His arm was also in some pain, but it seemed uninjured. Isaac returned to his apartment, but things became more and more confusing. When he stared at an object for too long, it suddenly disappeared, then came back a few seconds later. When he tried to touch the area where the object was, he could feel a strange sensation around his hand. Isaac thought he might be ill, so he went to the hospital, but the doctor said he was just dehydrated and needed to rest. The doctor was puzzled by the X-ray of Isaac's arm because there was a very straight hairline fracture that couldn't be possible without a tool, but there were no scars on Isaac's skin afterward. Isaac went to work, and his colleague said Isaac had been missing for 3 days. Isaac didn't explain what happened. He picked up a cup, focused, and made it disappear. Then, Isaac showed his colleague the recording of the alien, but his colleague was unsure whether to believe it was real. Another colleague came in and extracted samples from the soil where the incident happened, but there was no evidence of a meteor. Isaac decided to post the video online and send it to some scientific journals. The video immediately went viral online. The next morning, Isaac woke up to receive thousands of comments and calls from people wanting to interview him, including a famous talk show. When he checked the comments on the video, he saw that many people believed it, but most viewers thought it was fake and wrote terrible things. Soon, Isaac appeared on TV and shared his story. At first, the host asked for details, but soon he revealed his true intentions and began questioning Isaac's credibility, making him look like a joke on camera. The interview went viral online, and Isaac was accused of being an attention seeker, with even a troll claiming to have helped Isaac fake the video. The public reaction really depressed him, but Isaac refused to give up and began searching the internet for people with similar experiences. One day, a person who was also abducted agreed to meet in a restaurant. As Isaac waited, he began to see objects around him floating in the air. His bizarre experience was suddenly interrupted by Sarah, whom he met online. Isaac showed her the video and brought out a series of studies showing how aliens had been seen multiple times throughout history, even by famous scientists. In return, Sarah told him about an alien abduction incident that happened in Alaska in 1979. The victim was a man named Carl, who disappeared after sharing his story. At the same time, in a secret cabin in the woods, Carl was very excited when he saw his equipment receiving a strange signal. After a while, Isaac saw a man on TV constantly criticizing his video. This inspired him to start copying his own video and sending it to a bunch of media. Once he got all the envelopes ready, he tried to put them in the mailbox. A man passing by lent a hand, recognized Isaac's face, and revealed he was a writer. He handed Isaac his business card, saying if he wanted to publish the interview quickly, please contact him. More and more scientists appeared on TV, saying the video was fake. So Isaac contacted the author and made an appointment in his office to add legitimacy to the story. The author asked Isaac to take a polygraph test. During the test, People asked a series of questions about Isaac himself. All of Isaac's answers were perfectly flawless. A few seconds later, two mysterious agents appeared and tried to abduct him. Isaac fought them and managed to escape but was suddenly hit by a sedative and captured. When Isaac finally woke up, he found himself in a mysterious facility being carried by robots. The robots tied Isaac to a chair, and Agent Graves appeared behind the glass, saying Isaac had some valuable information that could help humanity. Then he had Isaac stare at different objects to conduct some tests, but no matter what objects they chose, nothing happened. Graves also keeps asking about Carl, who is supposedly hiding out on British Columbia, and Isaac doesn't know anything about the guy, which frustrates Graves even more. After struggling, Isaac managed to free his hands from the bindings, then broke the equipment and used it to destroy the robots. The robots began to emit a strange glowing liquid, and Isaac quickly ran out. Finding Sarah in the next room, he used his power to open the door. Isaac picked up a gun from the robot he destroyed and fired back as they fled. Isaac used his power to open another door and locked it behind him, allowing the two to safely reach the outside. At that moment, they saw a cart passer, and they realized they were not in the US. Inside the facility, Graves ordered the robots to find and capture the two, guessing they would head to British Columbia to find Carl. After running around for a while, Isaac and Sarah managed to reach a town in Costa Rica. They agreed they should find this Carl, but they couldn't contact him, so they sought an internet connection everywhere. A local hacker said a girl in the bar guided them to meet. When the two asked for his help, Graves' people were seeking help all over the town. Soon the robots were getting closer to them, but thankfully, the group saw them coming and escaped in time. Zed took them to a treehouse in the jungle, where he revealed some important information. The agents tracking them were from the International Space Research Program managed by the United Nations Agency. Zed agrees to help them find Carl, who is said to have an untraceable connection at his place. While Zed was tracking Carl, Sarah told Isaac about her alien abduction experience. She heard a noise outside, thinking it was a plane, but what abducted her was a spaceship. Sarah had been missing for 2 days. When she told others, no one believed her. Thus, the two bonded over their shared trauma and how lonely they felt in a world that mocked them. After a while, Zed announced he hadn't made any progress. Isaac mentioned British Columbia, suddenly remembering the Canadian signal he received at work, and provided Zed with detailed information. By hacking into Isaac's work computer, they finally found Carl's location. He was indeed in Canada. The group tried to call the man, but Carl hung up as soon as he heard their voices. However, they didn't give up and tried again. This time they mentioned Isaac's abduction story, which caught Carl's attention. Among the agents, Isaac explained that he had received a signal from an unknown source and sent it to Carl. Carl quickly decrypted it and concluded that the aliens would come to his residence in 5 days. After discussing the potential dangers, the group agreed to join Carl's ranks. It was a long journey, so they needed to take various modes of transport to get there. As they traveled, agents were constantly pursuing them because Isaac and Sarah had been injected with trackers while unconscious. As the 3 men boarded the train, the robot rode right behind them and soon boarded the train as well. Seen on his computer, the team wore quirky masks to deceive their sensors. Unfortunately, the trick didn't work, and the robots tried to capture them. So the 3 began to run, dodging laser gunshots. Isaac and Sarah climbed to the top of the train. When the robots read their location, they tried to follow them, but Zed was waiting for them and kicked them off the train. Finally, they reached the correct cabin, where Carl met them. After checking their identities, Carl used a small device to disable the trackers on Isaac and Sarah's arms. Graves immediately noticed the lost signal, but his subordinates were already tracking the car the 3 were riding in. Once the convoy settled down, Carl confirmed that he was the lumberjack who was kidnapped in Alaska. After that, he has been decrypting any strange audio signals he can detect and translating them into English, trying to communicate with aliens. The signal Isaac found is the most accurate one he has found so far. Zed was impressed because Carl has been inventing many machines over the years to keep up with his project. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep because of fear, so Isaac comforted her. 2 days later, this group of people sat in the cabin waiting for signs of the arrival of aliens. Suddenly they felt a tremor in the area, so Isaac went to the forest to look for spaceships and met 2 aliens. These creatures cooperated and went with him to the cabin. Carl's device translated for both sides, so they could chat. The aliens explained that their species had conquered all aspects of the physical world, from medicine to technology, so now they are seeking greater things beyond their understanding, such as the origin of the universe. They have been studying humans, because they have a special aura. By touching Isaac, they show him a vision of Jesus, whom they apparently believe to be the origin of all things, since the most haloed people are followers. Sarah took this opportunity to ask why after the kidnapping her arm always hurts, causing the aliens to take out the bracelet device wrapped around her arm. Suddenly, her arm split into two, revealing the tracker that the aliens had put there. Now they took it back, and then made her arm look normal. Next they started dealing with Isaac's arm, but at that moment Graves and his agents arrived, blocking the road with their cars. Graves demanded Carl to come forward, because he required an explanation for his father's encounter. His father was a lumberjack who died by a fallen truck, and his body had also disappeared. When Graves threatened to shoot, Carl finally came out and explained that he didn't know what happened to his colleague's body as he had said before. Graves still doesn't believe him and has his men shoot him down. Sarah immediately runs out to check on him and ends up getting shot too. In the cabin, the aliens gave Isaac the final suggestion through his arm, that he should use his own senses and attention. When the aliens disappeared, Isaac focused his attention, eventually mastering his own power, making him invisible and catching Sarah when the agents fired at the cabin. Then Isaac also caught Carl and Zed, keeping them in the invisible domain. There they met the aliens again. These creatures immediately healed Sarah and Carl, while Zed entered the cabin and found it empty. While all the agents are confused, the group follows the aliens on the road, walking through the crowd unnoticed, and soon the spaceship can be seen leaving the planet. 6 months later, Sarah and Isaac were living a quiet life in Costa Rica. Isaac still had his power and sometimes used it at work to do things faster. Zed and Carl are working together on a new underground tech intelligence agency, and Graves is fired,